Hello, hope you are doing well. I would like to share with you the story behind the interaction between mind and body, and the scientific explanation behind their interactions may explain why mantra like "you can heal your body" a la Louise Hay may work. Long time ago, after the discovery of antibiotics, our health improved tremendously, but everything has the pro and the con, and one of the cons is we tend to misassume that in order to treat infectious or inflammatory disease, we just need to remove the foreign agents like bacteria, viruses, and other forms of pathogens. But we forget about the intersignaling between brain and immune system. What are the details of the intersignaling between brain and immune system? Let's find out, because the notion and the acknowledgement that there are signaling and communications between our brain and immune system means that our state of mind can and do influence how well we resist and recover from infectious and inflammatory diseases. And it becomes important that we try to maintain a good state of mind so that we have strong immune system. What are the organs for immune system? These include our bone marrow, thymus, lymph nodes, and spleen. And when there are immune triggers, the immune cells and immune organs will secrete cytokines. Cytokines will be secreted to the bloodstream, and it also sends signal to the brain through the vagus nerve. Particularly, immune system sends the signal through the vagus nerve to the nucleus of tractus solitarius in the brain. So the pathway between the immune system and the brain is the vagus nerve to reach the tractus solitarius nucleus. So you may want to know more about cytokines. What are they? Cytokines are immune signaling molecules. They are proteins. It can cross the blood-brain barrier, and during the inflammation or illness, blood-brain barrier become more permeable. Besides that, cytokines can also attach to its receptor on the blood vessels of brain. Remember, when cytokines are excessive, when our body have too many cytokines, they become toxic to our nerve. So I'll ask you, can you please name few examples of cytokines? Interleukin 1, interleukin 2. Let's find out more about them. Interleukin 1, who make them? Monocyte or macrophage produce interleukin 1. And of course, this will happen like when there are immune signals, immune triggers. And after interleukin 1 is being produced, it will activate lymphocyte. Lymphocyte will in turn produce interleukin 2. And interleukin 2 will drive the maturation of the lymphocyte. And the differentiated lymphocyte take forms, for example, as plasma cells that produce antibody or cytotoxic lymphocytes that directly kills viruses. So, the mind-body interactions are critical because immune cells, once they secrete the cytokines and reach the brain through the vagus nerve and travel through the nucleus of the tractus solitarius to reach hypothalamus. And then there will be action involving the HPA axis. H stands for hypothalamus, P for pituitary gland, and A for adrenal gland. So, hypothalamus will produce CRH. CRH is a hormone, corticotropin releasing hormone. So, corticotropin releasing hormone unites stress and immune response. If we lack corticotropin releasing hormone, it will result in fatigue and hyperactive immune. What does CRH do? It activates pituitary gland, and activated pituitary gland will produce ACTH, a hormone, to activate adrenal gland. And adrenal gland will produce cortisol, which in turn inhibits the CRH hormone in the hypothalamus. Think of like negative feedback mechanism. In addition, cortisol also inhibits the immune cells. This way, the immune cells won't continuously signal to the brain to produce excessive corticotropin releasing hormone and other factors. So, let's talk about cortisol. Cortisol is a steroid hormone, and it has important roles in resisting inflammation. Drugs that inhibit cortisol receptor will worsen autoimmune inflammatory disease. Just remember, cortisol is important to protect you from inflammation. Cortisol, anti-inflammation, easy. And cortisol also increases the rate and the strength of heart contraction and sensitize our blood vessels to norepinephrine. Okay, so why do we need all these systems? Why do we need all this? The interaction between the brain and the immune system, which is translated into the interaction between the mind and body. This is because we need to maintain homeostasis. Homeostasis is internal steady state. When the body is in harmony, in equilibrium. Just imagine the body like a system, and a system of molecules, tissues, and organs, in an analogy to a system of family and society and nation and the world. When every member is performing in harmony, then things are okay, there will be less stress. But when there are stress or foreign invaders, it will affect and threaten the homeostasis. So, our body will respond by activating the stress response. And the components of the stress response include hypothalamus, locus coeruleus, brain, pituitary gland, sympathetic nervous system, and adrenal glands. I also have to highlight that the production of corticotropin releasing hormone by the hypothalamus upon activation by cytokines produced by immune cells seems to stimulate and inhibit sympathetic nervous systems, depending on the context. So to summarize, chronic stress will cause immunosuppressive. Acute stress will increase immunity mediated by cells, but it worsens skin allergy. However, we have to be careful because adaptive response from acute stress in the long run may become a stressor that results in diseases. So, to better understand immune system and immune signaling, we want to map the circuitry for the cytokines. Why? How can this be useful? First is for drug design, 2 for dual-purpose drugs. Given the intersignaling between the brain and the immune system, it seems possible in terms of molecular aspects and cellular and tissue aspects that we can treat both inflammatory diseases and psychiatric disorders using same or similar drugs that serve dual-acting purpose. Okay, so this is a brief introduction to explain the interaction between the mind and body as explained by the intersignaling between brain and immune system involving hormones like corticotropin-releasing hormone, ACTH, cortisol, as well as cytokines. Thank you for listening.